when I the recent thing with Kyle Kinane. I don't know if you heard about it.
I did Google you.
Okay.
So go ahead and can you tell me? I know you've talked about it a couple places. I saw the first 3 hits were talking about Pace, Picante, Salsa.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened. So if you're feeling like, oh, everyone's heard this, not everyone reads the blogs we do.
Here's how I can condense it.
You're already a helicopter storyteller.
I will condense.
You're just going to go, I pranked Kyle.
Yeah. Me and Kyle aren't talking anymore.
Wait, did he get mad?
No. He was a little bit bummed for a while, and I was really wanting to make sure things were cool. But we're fine. We're totally cool.
Tell me what happened.
So what happened was, Kyle woke up one day and had noticed that 2 very old tweets about Pace Picante, 10-month-old tweets, had been favorited by the Pace Picante on Twitter, and he was like, "Why? That's so weird." So
why did he know that had happened? That's interesting.
Because he probably got an email. Sometimes you get an email. Someone has enough followers, you get an email saying that this person liked it or whatever. So he screen grabbed the photo of his 2 tweets that showed that Pace Picante had favorited them and posted that screen grab and said, "You're doing it all wrong, Pace." And then Pace favorited that tweet, and then he screen grabbed that, and then he said, "Let me try something," and then he wrote something outlandish and negative about Pace Picante, and then they favorited that. And then he wrote another negative thing about Pace Picante, and they favorited that. And he was like, Pace Picante, you really need humans running your Twitter account. And then throughout this, every person that favorited any of those tweets that he was doing or commented or retweeted, Pace Picante then followed and favorited their tweets about Pace. And everyone was losing their minds because they're like,
this is a good one.
So Pace Picante was like this weird lurking monster that wouldn't say anything but would force emails upon you by favoriting and following, and everyone was getting scared and weirded out by it. And Kyle just started unleashing these tweets about Pace Picante worships Lucifer, Pace Picante, this and that. And then at a certain point, once everyone had gathered to notice, because every time Pace followed someone else, they reached out to Kyle and said, "Pace just followed me," and then it was like this thing. And then finally Pace stopped doing that.
Pace
tweeted an apology saying, "We just experienced a technical glitch. We apologize." And then direct messaged Kyle saying, "We would really appreciate it if you deleted those tweets, and thank you in advance." Kyle responded with...
So Kyle was following Pace Picante.
He started following at a
so he
certain
could
point.
then message them.
Yeah. Well, Pace Picante messaged Kyle. Yeah.
But he had to...
Yeah, so he followed Pace Picante during this. And then Pace Picante sent him a direct message asking him to delete them. And then he responded with, "Well, how about some free salsa," basically. And then he screen grabbed that direct message conversation and tweeted it.
How about some free
salsa? And then Pace Picante said, "Well, I can definitely see what we can do. What's your address?" And then he said, "Well, this seems sketchy. How about we meet somewhere in Texas?" And then was screen grabbing all of this stuff and posting it. And then Pace Picante said,
"Stop saying Pace Picante. Stop saying Pace Picante."
I'll add Pace.
No, it's good.
Okay.
Keep saying Pace Picante. I just want you to know that every time you say it, it's funny.
And then Pace Picante says, "Listen, our lawyers have just informed me that we shouldn't send you anything and that bribery with salsa is still bribery." And then Kyle, I'm not sure what the back and forth was at that certain moment. Basically, this guy, Eric, who worked for Pace, was talking to Kyle. Basically. He was signing his name Eric after each thing he said. And then eventually he got nowhere with Kyle, so he handed it off to Miles, which is a different person that worked for Pace. Miles then says, basically offers him salsa again. And then Kyle says, "Bribery for salsa is still bribery." And then is like, Pace, he's copying these direct messages and showing them on his Twitter. And everyone starts following this interaction between a company and a comedian. Eventually, Miles loses his cool a little bit and says some rude things to Kyle. And then Sharon has to step in and sends Miles home. And Kyle's like, what happened to Miles? I want to talk to Miles. Miles has been sent home. And then he says, I want to talk to Eric then. And then quickly says, hey, this is, Miles went home. Sharon said you wanted to talk to me. Eric, but then spelled Eric wrong. And then quickly spelled it right. And then he was like, yeah, right, Sharon. Sharon was lying as Eric. And then, so a lot of things like this are happening, and he's posting all of them on his Twitter.
This is like the weird soap opera book we read in Spanish class.
Yeah. Eventually, the real Eric shows back up, handles it, and says, Miles has been sent home, don't worry about him. But then really quickly in the same direct message, in all caps, Miles has signed on to the Pace Twitter from home, and in all caps says, they're going to fire me tomorrow, but they can't fire me. I quit. Fuck you. And then Eric says, Miles, you're not fired. Let's talk tomorrow. I'm changing the password.
These are all going to Kyle?
These are all going just to Kyle. And then Kyle's showing all of them, and then says Miles was sent home, and also all of us are about to go home. So we'll talk about this tomorrow. An hour later, Miles goes at home, creates his own Twitter account, and reaches out to Kyle. And Kyle says, Miles, I don't believe this is really Miles. Show me a picture of your pay stub. Miles sends him a picture of his middle finger and says, how's this? Like, I'm done proving myself. Direct deposit, none of your business. I quit. And then Miles hacks into the Pace Picante site and says, they changed their password, but back to what it used to be. Direct deposit, not going down quietly. I quit.
Those are the hashtags?
Yeah. To prove to Kyle that it's the real Miles. And then he says, hey, Kyle, watch this. And then from Pace Picante writes, Kyle Kinane sucks, as Pace Picante. Those are quickly deleted by Pace Picante. Miles says,
stop saying Pace Picante.
Miles says, okay, they changed the password again. This time I don't know it. If I wasn't fired before, I definitely am now. Kyle starts direct messaging Miles being like, dude, I thought this was... At this point, Kyle thought it was a viral marketing thing. They took a bad situation and tried to make it interesting.
Yes.
But then he's like, oh no, I thought you guys were all in on this. Did you really just quit? And Miles says, I've been going through a rough patch. I was probably going to get fired anyways. And then Miles' account is suspended. And then he directs Pace Picante, and Pace Picante says, we're still looking into this, because he's like, this is getting out of hand. And he's like, we're looking into this. It seems like someone within the company created a fake Twitter account for Miles to try to get him fired, and that the real Miles is very apologetic and wants his job back. And so then he's like, Pace says, we're gonna make an announcement really soon. And then Pace tweets, a couple apologies, and then says, if you're following our situation, Miles was sent home. He's not fired. And up to this point, Pace Picante hadn't tweeted really at all. Everything was through Kyle showing this conversation.
Yeah.
And then Kyle says, or Pace Picante tweets, Miles, we love Miles, and someone within the company has created a fake Twitter account pretending to be Miles to get him fired, and we're going to deal with her eventually.
Oh, it's a her.
Oh, it's Sharon. Sharon's already proven herself to be a liar. And then says, we appreciate everyone. We told Miles, because Kyle started a hashtag Bring Back Miles, and it got a lot of traction.
Typical Miles.
And
it did?
Yeah. Danny Trejo and like John McCain's daughter, and Red Vines, the company Red Vines, created like a Vine where it was like stop animation of Bring Back Miles in Red Vines.
No.
And like everyone was talking about it.
Why is that the part that impressed me the most?
Well, I just thought it was funny that someone would spend their time to do that.
It did. Bring back Miles.
And then says, we told Miles, Miles is in tears right now over the whole thing. And he still has a job with Pace. And in the meantime, we're going to delete our Twitter account until we can figure all this out. Signed Eric. And everyone was just like, well said, Eric. And then everyone kept piling in. And then at midnight, the account was deleted. And then, so the backstory is I created a Pace Picante Twitter account 4 months ago, not to prank Kyle, but I just created it. I created a handful of company Twitter accounts just to see how long I could run them as if they were real.
Yeah.
Until the real company was like, companies that didn't have Twitter accounts.
Yeah.
So Pace Picante is owned by Campbell's, which is a larger company that doesn't bother. No one has the word Pace on their shirt anymore, And so it lasted 4 months, and every couple of weeks.
Well, a lot of people that go to Pace University.
Is that a university?
It is.
Okay. And just fans of the salsa probably have made their own shirts at home. But yeah, so every couple of weeks,
it was you.
It was me. I would sign into this account and I would tweet things that Pace would tweet. I would retweet.
That's what makes it a long con. Is you would just positive Pace tweets,
favoriting things, retweeting things, reaching out to people, telling them thank you. Asking people to show me a picture of their favorite recipes
using Pace
as Pace Picante. Created, and
I mean the recipes included.
Oh yes, just giving suggestions to people about what they could do. Like the most recent tweet was, add a scoop of paste to any soup or stew to spice things up. # you're welcome. And little things that a company would do. But it was only because I wanted to see how long I could do it until someone in an office was like, "Hey, who runs our Twitter? I have a question." Like I wanted them to believe that they were running it and spend a whole day emailing each other to only find out that no one does. And then I wanted to have someone contact me and be like, "Will you please delete this?" And have me be in a position to be like, "Why?" And then be like, "Okay, I'm sorry."
Right.
I didn't want to cause them any trouble.
Yeah.
I just thought that was funny.
The emailing, the inter-office emails.
Just a bunch of people that are confused for a whole day.
Yeah.
Because some guy did it.
Yeah.
And, but then what happened was, that morning I woke up, I looked at a few of my accounts and they'd been my other one was suspended. Just nothing bad happened.
What do you mean?
I created another account for Band-Aid brand.
And it got suspended.
And it just got suspended.
By Twitter?
Yeah, they had figured it out probably, and they were like, Band-Aid brand doesn't have a Twitter.
This guy's a rascal.
Yeah, Johnson & Johnson has a Twitter, but not Band-Aid brand. And then I was like, well, my days are numbered probably, and I'm kind of bored with the whole thing. And I saw I had searched Pace in the morning, and I saw Kyle tweeted something forever ago. And I was like, I bet he'll get a kick out of this. And I just favorited his tweet, not thinking it would extend into a 10-hour thing where I couldn't leave the house. And then, the second he retweeted it, I favorited that and so on, and just kept getting new layers in this idea that just kept developing. It wasn't like, aha, Kyle. And the reason I kept doing it was because it was Kyle. I like Kyle.
Yeah.
And I got worried that he would be a little bit mad, but we've never had any bad blood.
Chicago.
We love each other. Me and Kyle really do get along. Randy! He was the whole time.
So he got mad.
When I told him, he was...
how could you do this to me?
Hey, buddy.
We just want to drive Kyle.
Yeah.
Those you paste.
He says, I got Southwest catfished. He was like confused and shell shocked, and then was
taco shell shocked.
He was mad because he had a great day, and then only to find out it was fake, and that now the spotlight wasn't just on him; it was also going to be on me eventually, and it was just this thing that he thought was so great, and it is great. He got a lot of new Twitter followers over the whole thing.
He did?
Yeah, he got like 6,000 or 7,000 new Twitter followers. That's quite a bit.
How many people were following Pace?
Only like 4,000, but they were fake. I had bought them when I first opened the account. I bought some fake Twitter followers.
How do you do that?
There's a whole bunch of shitty websites out there. You can just buy them. They're all robots, and eventually you start losing them. I paid like $25, and I got like 5,000 of them.
No way.
I mean, I did have some real ones. Anytime I would like reach out to someone, they would generally follow me back. I also, here's a trick if you are pathetic. You can search #I follow back and just follow all of those sons of guns, and they'll follow you back.
Really?
Oh, yeah. There's a bunch of people that don't understand what Twitter is for, and all they want is followers, so that they just are like, their whole thing is they follow back. Because they want to get so it's a whole bunch of people who follow back following each other. Oh. So if you just reach out, I mean, you would never want to follow those people.
Yeah.
They tweet the worst garbage ever. But if you're a fake salsa company, it's not a big deal. Or representing a real salsa company. But yeah, that's the story. I told Kyle that night. He was pretty bummed about it. Next day, he was getting all these... Campbell's the next day announced that it was not them.
Wait, they addressed it.
Yeah, because no one had said it. It was Sunday. For some reason, no one was saying, nope, this isn't. it was weird. It just happened, and it went on for 10 hours or so. I woke up, I left once to get burritos, and I came home, and my girlfriend was like, "It's my work potluck thing," and I was like, "I can't. There's a new twist, and Sharon is to blame." And
oh my God!
I can't leave the house, and she's like, "Yeah, I'll tell my boss you're sick."
She understood.
Yep.
You're just a lunatic. Spinning this web of lies.
I was showing her my iPad. I was like, "Look, I spelled Eric wrong. Oh, this is gonna be so good."
Wait, that was on purpose?
Oh yeah, to make him think that it was Sharon.
I can't believe he didn't see it.
Oh, I did all sorts of. It was a game of making things be unbelievable, but to the point where they're not too unbelievable. Because then a comedian would want to highlight these things that are so silly. If there's just normal weirdness, then it's maybe not that funny. But they're like today, SpaghettiOs. I don't know if you saw this. The only reason I saw it is because people are now tweeting to me, being like, "Are you running the SpaghettiOs Twitter?" SpaghettiOs tweeted, "Let's take a moment to remember Pearl Harbor." And then they added a picture, and the picture was their cartoon logo of a SpaghettiO holding an American flag with a big smile. And it was just weird.
Yeah, that is weird.
And everyone was like, what? What the fuck? Everyone's response is like, I just screen grabbed this. Like before it gets deleted.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, why would SpaghettiOs just throw their logo onto a remembrance of, it's very weird and inappropriate.
But that was real.
That was real, yeah. So like companies do weird things that are not, that one I don't think was like rude or inappropriate.
I know what you're saying.
But
when Snickers is like on 9/11, never forget, always satisfies. You know what I mean? It's like, fucking beat it. You're a peanut bar.
Yeah. People fuck up at these companies. So he was just like, oh, I got the golden fuck up.
Yeah.
And every time they say something else, it's just digging. All the articles that are written about it are like, company's social media team implodes, and everyone's just like, what a bunch of idiots.
And it got a lot of coverage.
It did, yeah. By that night, there was a Huffington Post article, there was stuff on BuzzFeed, there was stuff on Gawker. By the next day, everyone had covered it. CNN wrote an article about it.
No.
Yeah. Everyone is, and now all of these articles are up top saying, update, it was a joke by a comedian on another comedian.
Right.
And now there's a few new articles.
It almost would have been better if it had been you on like Rob Lowe or something.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. It just happened to be Kyle.
Yeah.
How
random. Someone you know.
Yeah. It wouldn't have gotten as much traction if it was just someone who didn't have a lot of Twitter followers.
Right.
But it happened to be Kyle, and he happened to really play the game. He started posting everything. I would have run into a whole bunch of roadblocks if he wasn't so willing to show it.
Right.
And once he finally was like, this is crazy, I can't post these anymore, I finally had to step in and wrap the story up with 5 final tweets as like, this is the ending, this is what happened. I was hoping to tell that through him, but he had been like, I maybe have lost someone their job.
Oh yeah,
he started getting really stressed out and didn't like it.
My blue collar fan base.
Yeah, he told
like this.
He told Miles to stand with the hashtag to just ride that hashtag. You'll get your job back. And he's like, no, I want to move, and this job wasn't right for me. And
just you,
just me, man.